Nouvelle Vague is a biographical comedy that follows Jean-Luc Godard. He's a snooty film critic getting his big break at directing his first feature film entitled Breathless. He's very opinionated about film and wants his directorial debut to be completely subversive, so his methods of making it are very unorthodox, leaving his cast and crew wondering if he has the slightest clue what he's even doing. So this movie is about the making of the 1960 movie Breathless, which is a crime drama / character study about an edgy young man who is trying to run from the law with a girl at his side. This movie highlights the making of that movie because it was one of the defining films of the French New Wave. This movie is a love letter to that film movement, as there were many great films that have collectively had a lasting impact on how movies are made today. New Wave films defied the norms of Western cinema by popularizing things like jump cuts, long takes, neorealism, and irregular camera techniques, paving the way for many of today's great filmmakers to find their voice. This movie is jam-packed with big names from that era. Many writers and directors are portrayed in this movie, like Agnes Varda, Francois Truffaut, and Claude Chabrol. The list really goes on for miles. I personally wasn't even familiar with most of them, but for the ones that I did know, I got to go, oh, it's Agnes Varda, I know who that is. Every single character in this movie is introduced with a brief shot with their name, essentially acting as a character card highlighting that all of these characters were real influential figures in the film industry. It's also just a cool creative choice in the same vein of the many bold choices made by those artists during their time. Godard loves film and fancies himself a maverick in the industry. In typical fashion of how some people like to imagine film critics, he is your textbook artsy toolbag. He's always talking about movies and the industry, he's very cocky and arrogant, so much so that you almost don't want his movie to be successful. His douchey behavior and improvisational filmmaking is what sets the stage for the movie's humor. Everyone working on set is quite taken back by how unconventional the production is. His fuel for making this film is almost sort of punk rock. He's doing things very affordably and mostly off the cuff, with his end goal being to disrespect cinema's current form. He is constantly making decisions that are in service of authenticity, like deliberately ignoring continuity errors and making sure that costumes and sets are untidy. He's literally writing the movie as they go, and one of the recurring jokes throughout the movie is that Jean Seberg, who's played by Zoe Deutsch, is constantly addressing that. She is always making jabs at Godard because the production feels like a joke, and she just wants to know her lines. Some of the better jokes came from the scenes that they were shooting without sound, with the intention of dubbing over in post. What they were actually saying on set was pretty humorous. Everyone having a difficult time on set is the movie's big joke. One could compare this movie to The Disaster Artist, but here they actually made a good film. Godard is equally unpredictable, but unlike that movie, this one is slowly evolving in that the cast and crew is slowly embracing the chaos as the production moves forward. It's really charming seeing everyone slowly start to have more and more fun on set. There were some really memorable scenes thanks to the camaraderie. That and the filmmaking style of this movie. Not Breathless, but literally this movie, Nouvelle Vague. It embraces many of the French New Wave trademarks and for the most part actually feels like a New Wave film. It's also just really interesting seeing how the cast and crew of Breathless came together, how some of them didn't even want to be a part of the film, and the backstory of some of the crew. You don't really have to have seen Breathless to enjoy this movie, but I will say that it's definitely one of the things that makes this movie entertaining. Recognizing some of the locations is kind of cool because they did film at the same locations in Paris to make it feel authentic. Pretty early on, you see Godard driving down a road that should be a pretty familiar sight to those of you who have seen Breathless somewhat recently. But really just seeing the making of some of the most iconic scenes and some of the creative choices that were made on the fly was really entertaining. So yeah, there is a lot of value in having seen Breathless. While I would not call it the most timeless French New Wave film, it was still a very influential film. There is some value in checking it out. I'm also quite a fan of all the classic film references that were made in the movie. This is actually Richard Linklater's second film to be released this October that references the movie Casablanca. And that's admittedly an easy way to get me buzzing. I could get used to him making 2 movies a year. While I would not say that I like this more than Blue Moon, this is still definitely a good time. And the message behind it is important. While Godard is not the most likable character, he has the right idea of what it takes to make something unique. By understanding the rules of any art form, you can make incredible work, and it's really important to grasp those rules. But if you want to do something truly unique, you should then learn how to break those rules. So whatever it is you are creating in your free time, just remember to have fun and loosen up a little bit, because that's how consumers will hear the authenticity in your voice. So overall, I thought this movie was good. It's a fun and interesting way to tell a story that really is just a love letter to film at its core. This one is for cinephiles. It's for those of you who are familiar with the French New Wave. At the time of this recording, Breathless and a lot of other French New Wave films are on HBO Max, so it's quite easy to catch up if you're interested in this movie. Again, it's not unwatchable if you're a New Wave virgin, but you would definitely be missing out on a lot of what makes this movie good. Thank you for watching this review. If it brought you any value at all, please give it a like. Really helps this channel grow. I will see you later this week with my review of Die My Love, and next week with a review of The Running Man.